Bet online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first to market odds and lines. Now, find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all sports information from live in game betting props and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Now, use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50%. Welcome your bonus on your first deposit. Now, Bet Online is where the game starts.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Believe in Bills podcast, brought to you by Bet Online and the beautiful people over at Believe Sports. I'm just General Rafford, and with me today, I got a legend. We'll be two later on, but right now, I got a legend, the Hall of Famer, Ruben Brown himself. How you doing, Ruben? How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. Bills win, in the playoffs, home field. Let's get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Home field advantage in the playoffs versus Miami yesterday. It was a hard-fought game, and that brings us to our kickoff. The Buffalo Bills defeat the Miami Dolphins 34-31. Look a little scary at times, especially when the Bills go down by 10. And, Skyler was playing pretty well, if you ask me. His stat line didn't look great, but he was making a lot of passes that were dropped by his receivers. The Dolphins had a lot of missed opportunities. What did you think about this game, and what was your thought process from the perspective of a Bills supporter?
I think we can walk away. I know for everyone, we're like, oh, the Bills didn't look good or as good as we had anticipated or thought they could be or should be at this point going into the playoffs. We've seen stuff from them where they're a lot more explosive. And also, I think we did not think the Dolphins minus Tua would be able to put up much of a fight against us, which we have to now walk away from this game as an organization, fans, and thinking when it comes around next year, the Dolphins were a good team this year. And I mean, we don't like the Dolphins, but they actually were a good team. And I think them playing somebody else, they might have given them a tough go at beating them in the playoffs too. So part of this is respect to the Dolphins because they're better than I would say we would think as Bills fans. I didn't give much credit to the Dolphins, but that game made me feel like, all right, I should have given them or been a little bit more concerned about their winning capability against the Bills, especially when the Bills aren't playing like themselves or, like explosive like we would expect them to be offensively.
So looking at that game, there was a lot of speculation that, if Tua wasn't injured, they would have come back, they would have won the game, and all this other stuff. What's your thoughts on that? Do you feel like Tua would have gave them a better shot at winning? It maybe is the wrong question to ask. Do you think Tua would have been the difference maker in them winning or losing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, because they could have won that game yesterday. I mean, they could have won that game. And we'll go into the reasons why later. So adding Tua to it, they could win with Tua, so they could have been in the same position that they were in on Sunday. Tua wouldn't have guaranteed them a win. Without Tua, I'm surprised how the Dolphins played. Really overall, that's my theme from what I watched on Sunday. It's like the Dolphins are actually better than what we thought as an overall team, and they were definitely a good competition and hopefully a good warm-up for us going forward in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Great competition. It was a good, like you said, a good warm-up game. And I mean, we almost lost. So at this point, it's hard to even call it a warm game because if a couple of things go differently in that game,
We
we're
lost.
talking about how the Bills are, the season's over, and what we could do next season or what next season's team looks like. Like, the journey ends, potentially. So it's tough to even say that, but I do agree with looking at we're getting to the first quarter of our segments here.
Mhm.
They looked reinvigorated to me, at least. So I wanted to talk to you both about it, right? When you look at the Bills' offense, they are taking shots downfield, right? Stephon Diggs had a monster game. Khalil Shakir came up with a huge catch down the field. He made up for the drop he had earlier. Gabriel Davis lost his mind yesterday. Gabriel Davis was catching any and everything, and it was like, wow, like Gabriel Davis is one of those anomalies where it's like he'll drop the easiest pass, but then he'll catch the toughest one, And then when you look at the game, Josh Allen, had a few passes that were dropped. His numbers will probably look even better than he did. He did have the 2 interceptions. One maybe wasn't all the way his fault, the deep one, but the second one, it is what it is. But they looked reinvigorated. The defense was flying all over the field. They were hitting super hard. The Dolphins got a lot of really lucky breaks, but I do feel like the team showed up to play the Bills, both on offense and defense. What did you feel?
I think they did, especially on special teams. Special teams, was really the difference in the game, I would say, right? And then defensively, I think Edmonds had an outstanding game, which gave defensive coordinator an easy day of calling plays because the Buffalo Bills defense likes to get after the offense, their opponent's offense, mainly with 4-man rushes. And, the big guys were active up front, making it difficult for plays to develop and happen. And there were sacks off of the blitzes and things that you expect. But all that being said, the reinvigoration of all the different receivers, which always have been at the disposal of the Bills, and Josh has utilized everyone in his arsenal other than Diggs throughout the season. So all of that's no surprise. The only downside in that whole thing is the regression of our QB. Out of all the guys that played Sunday, Josh was the only guy that did not look his best in a lot of ways. And, I'm sure the analysts and the people watching the film, the rewatch the film, they can break it down and see the different throws where he might have been forcing or it might, this, that, and other. And also the continued regression of our play caller. That guy's going to get us in trouble. I do like the aggressiveness that he showed at the opening of the game, to open it up and just go down the field. Because really, that's what the Bills do best. They come out gunning, but within a course of a game, you have to start eating up clock and yardage. And I think more times than not, our offensive coordinator leave us in a position where, all right, Josh has to do it, opposed to, all right, this is the offense. We're going to churn out some yards, eat up some clock, go down here and score a touchdown, opposed to, all right, we're going back on the field. We get about Josh is going to just drop bombs and we're going to get down the field quick as fast as we can. When it's 60 minutes. And we saw it's the playoffs. Guys, it's not regular season, and guys are not going to give up. You might have them up by 27, and they're not giving up until 60 seconds is off the clock or double overtime. That's what everybody's willing to give coming up. And I think with all the guys that are stepping up, the two spots that need to get their act together is the coordinator and Josh over the last couple of games. You know, as I see it,
there's been some speculation that like a Brian Daboll, who's doing extremely well in New York. Shout out to the Giants, just got their first playoff win in some time. Brian Daboll looks pretty good over there. He's gave them a great season, and now they have had, I would say, a successful season, even if it ends next weekend. A lot of people didn't expect this from the Giants. So shout out to Brian Daboll. A lot of people are saying that Brian Daboll will be the guy to reel Josh in. When Josh is doing too much and trying to, make all the home run plays, Brian Daboll would say, hey, take some checkdowns. But apparently Ken Dorsey is also like, I want it all. I want the big play. So there's nobody to tell Josh, hey, calm down a little bit.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it should be the offense, because Josh needs Diggs and Diggs needs Josh, and they all need a running game, and all of these different things need to come together. I mean, if they just line up and make it about Josh and Diggs, that could get old real fast in the playoffs, and it'll be looking different for us.
Yeah, it could be looking a lot worse for us. A thing that I thought was pretty interesting was looking at the Giants game with Brian Daboll calling the plays. For a little while, it was you saw similarities to last year with the Bills.
Yeah.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know, my joint dropped out, but you get it. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking about the similar. One thing about Brian Daboll I found interesting was that he, all the season, you don't really see that many runs from Daniel Jones, who can run, but in the playoffs, he's running all over the place. And you kind of saw that last year with Josh. They were sort of kind of reluctant to run him during the season, but then in the playoffs, every other run was a Josh run. I just thought that was funny. But shout out to everybody in the comment section tonight. Make sure you guys slap the like button. Give us all the love and support. And so one of my guys, somebody who's always in the comment section, I love this guy. He Spin. My guy Spin. Yeah. He says, Gabe gonna play in the playoffs. Who cares what he does in the regular season? Man plays 6 games, averaging over 3 catches, 73 yards, and 1 touchdown per game in the playoffs. So I want to ask you, bro. Now, this will be a little better coming from a former player, right? If a guy shows out in the playoffs and looks like a superstar number 2 receiver, but looks maybe not subpar, but maybe a little par for the course during the regular season, maybe you could upgrade at that position in the regular season, but then he comes out and he balls out in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that player? Like, is that somebody who you feel like you can depend on because it's only in the playoffs, or do you need it to be year-round?
I mean, all the players, you really need them to be year-round so you can decide what you're going to do from week to week as far as attacking your opponent. So if you can trust them that he's consistent. And sometimes throughout the season, you don't know why some of the receivers or different players don't get much run or get many targets. It's just, you as the season go on, you're gonna have to rely on everyone that's on that team to eventually catch the ball that's in the skill position, and hopefully, you're always the next guy is a diamond in the rough, hopefully. And I don't really understand that we worried about making a long-term commitment with him, or do we have to make a decision on whether we want to, upgrade his pay so, we can look at him as a premier guy or a top 2 guy. That's up to him to how he performs. He catches the ball, help us win, you get paid. But if you can't trust that you're going to be there and the big game comes and we don't see no production out of you, it doesn't matter whether you did it in the regular season or not. Honestly, really, the NFL is a lot about your last game, how you played your last game when you were on the field, and what you got compiled behind you. Does the team, organization, coaching staff believe in you? You could draw an example for what's the receiver that we cut and the Giants picked up, and he just made a spectacular play in the game, and the Bills were done with him.
Isaiah Hodgins, he looks really, really good.
Yeah, so those stories go on and on each year. It's judgment call, it's a style call. You never know. But hey, if a guy didn't do well in the regular season and then catches fire in the postseason, it's all valid. It's all valuable. So let's decide whether we want to get it to him more or, ride whatever wave he's on.
Yeah, I like Gabriel Davis. I'm a little scared that maybe Isaiah Hodgins might be what we thought Gabriel Davis was supposed to be.
Yeah, Gabe is a little inconsistent. You can call it how it is. I mean, he can make great plays, but the fact that he has those inconsistent drops just keeps you on the edge of your seat more. And that's a 50-50 call with him. Do you pay him more, keep him, and say he's that guy, or do you say, you know what, too inconsistent, let's try another guy?
Yeah. All right, I got a question for you, Ruben. When you talk about giving people opportunities in football, because the comment section says the Bills never gave Hodgins a shot, and I got a question for you. Looking at it as a football player, a guy who's played in this league, looking at it when you see Isaiah Hodgins, who was on the roster for 3 years, whether it was a practice squad. He got elevated sometimes, but mostly it was practice squad. He was on an injury reserve because they were trying to keep him. A whole lot of different maneuvers in order to keep this guy on the squad because they saw potential in him. However, he was never really able to beat out certain receivers that they wanted to keep, i.e. Jake Kumro or like Isaiah McKenzie or Khalil Shakir, guys like that. He was never really able to beat out those guys to get an opportunity to see the field. So the Bills, who still wanted Hodgins, by the way, they cut him in order to make roster room for another player. They were going to bring him back to the practice squad. Before they could bring him back, he got picked up by the Giants, and then he got elevated by the Giants, and then he started balling. When you look at that, does that seem like a Brandon Beane's fault thing to you because he tried to keep him on the roster? Or is it like a Sean McDermott's fault for never really giving him an opportunity to shine, or a coordinator's fault for never giving him any, opportunities to make plays on the field? Like, where does that blame go?
I guess it sounds as though the coaching staff, because, the coaching staff felt that the guys that were playing in front of him were what they wanted. I mean, it's as clear cut as that. The general manager brings the tools to the toolbox. It's up to the carpenter to use what's in the toolbox. And one guy be like, man, I might use this tool. I don't need the other one, even though it's good, but I like these other ones. And that's a judgment call. That's definitely a judgment call. And he was valuable enough for them to make all the concessions to kind of keep him around and try to keep him in the fold. Maybe he catch fire, but it didn't work. But good for him that the head coach of the Giants actually knew who he was and felt like, hey, this fits what I need to get done. And I know
Brian Daboll worked with Hodgins the last 3 years that he was there. So while he was here coordinating our offense, Isaiah Hodgins was one of those guys he got to work with.
It clearly shows you that there was someone there that likes Isaiah more, and there were people that didn't like Isaiah as much. So You know, the people the reason why Isaiah's not here in Buffalo, because the guys here didn't value him as much as the guys that they're using now.
Yeah, for sure. Although I would like to admit, yes, the Giants have more opportunity for wide receivers than we may have on our roster. But at the same time, you take a look at McKenzie and he's super inconsistent. Gabriel Davis was super inconsistent pretty much all year. Khalil Shakir is a little inconsistent. Jamison Crowder injured. John Brown, Cole Beasley just got here. So, now you're looking at Isaiah Hodgins over there balling, and of course you're thinking
he was right here. He was here before they got Beasley.
Yep.
So that
hindsight is 2020.
It just tells you that he wasn't fitting in with the people here. You know what I mean? They just didn't love him, I guess. They liked him, and they felt like if they needed somebody and things go right, but they obviously didn't love him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get back into the game a little bit. Actually, not even just the game. It's been like a microcosm of the entire season. When you think about the Bills' offense, you never think of a stagnant offense, right? Between the 20s, they're almost unstoppable, virtually unstoppable. But one thing about the Bills' offense is that they are so mistake-prone that it's a little alarming. It's like if the Bills aren't scoring a touchdown or a field goal, it's an interception or some type of fumble or some type of turnover. They rarely ever punt. It's always either points or some kind of turnover. And recently, it seems like we've gotten a lot more turnovers, which to a degree, it gives me hope because it's like, all right, well, if you don't turn the ball over, then theoretically you should score all the time, but they continue to be sloppy with the football. How much of a concern is that going forward?
That is the number one concern for the Buffalo Bills going forward. They've shown that they can do everything on offense and defense and special teams that it takes to win the game. When it comes to running plays, running the ball, passing, they got guys that can tackle, Milano and Edmonds, and good guys that can cover. But turning the ball over, giving it to the other opponent, regardless of whatever their skill level is, whether the opponent is better than you or not, it's almost it becomes very critical in the postseason because the postseason is one and done. You lose, you're out. And historically, everyone knows, I don't care what Jacksonville just did the other day by turning the ball over 4 times and then somehow they come away with a win.
That is more about the Chargers than the Jaguars.
That is ridiculously rare. Go play the lottery, do a Babe Ruth shot, say we're going to hit a home run right here. That's what you're doing. That's unheard of. One in a lifetime. Hat off to them for pulling that off. But you turn the ball over in the playoffs, you going home, hands down. I've been a part of it. When Chicago Bears, we was mopping people up because they were turning the ball over when we would just run the ball all day. They didn't even barely pass. Musa Muhammad and a few guys caught some balls, but they weren't killing it. They were just filling in. The running game was churning the clock, and our defense kept taking the ball away, giving it back to us so we could either kick a field goal or push in an easy 6, or they were taking it back to the house. Now, that's the part in our defense. They need a little bit more of that. They got to I know they can turn the ball over and stuff like that. When we was with the Bears, Lovie Smith them talked about take it to the house. Don't just not get away, take it away from them and put it in the end zone, or try to, or set our offense up so they can walk in the end zone. That should be like their mentality, because so much of their off defense is, I classified them as a bend but don't break type of defense where
100%.
they're going to play a lot of good base, zone, man, whatever, and try to get at you the old-fashioned way with the 4 up front and a few extra men here and there. But mainly they're gonna play big boy, man you up ball, like, hey, this NFL, our line gonna have to get after you, and you're gonna have to find these holes, and we're gonna take the ball over when you're not right. And just like Josh in the offense needs to be a little bit more cautious about the ball and protecting it and staying in possession of it, the defense needs to get a little bit more active at taking it away and turning it over, because I don't think that is truly emphasized in that building. Because if it was, Josh would not be running around with that ball like a loaf of bread sometime. Now, y'all saw it bounced out of bounds. In the playoffs, that thing bounced back in bounds, and they get that ball. What is that? You know what I'm saying? And he
60 other way.
And I'm not, and this is not even talking about forcing the throws that end up being interceptions. I'm talking like, when he's out running, he always has a tendency to have that ball up in the air. And if he was playing the 06 Chicago Bears, we had that ball and gone back the other way. No matter how great he is, he can't, if he got the ball like this, they used to tell her, just go get the ball. Put your whole body on the ball. It's just his hand. How he going to stop you? You know what I mean? Josh can't fend you off with just one hand. He got to be concerned about keeping possession of that ball at all times, and when he's delivering it. You can't be forcing in there, it pops up in the air. This is playoffs. And the same thing got to happen over on defense, where they got to be more active about attacking. So that fits the whole turnover, takeaway, deal for the Bills. And they need to talk about it more in their locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% think it needs to become a point of emphasis for the Buffalo Bills defense. See, here's the thing. I understand what the Bills are trying to do, right? They're not trying to do anything crazy special,
Right.
Like they aren't sending. There's some exotic blitzes there, but it's not like super. It's super occasional. Like it's only occasional. Right. They don't do it a ton. It's more like, hey, you 11 individual players, go out there and do your job. You 4 that rush the quarterback, get to the quarterback. You 3 in the middle, they need to, protect the middle of the field, protect the intermediate, You 2 back there, and then the corners, of course, make sure nobody scores. And that really seems like the gist of it. And then of course you have talented players go out there and execute this style of defense, and it seems to really work. I think in order for us, because our secondary is extremely good. Again, we don't let anybody, score crazy long touchdowns or anything like that. I think that in order for us to create some turnovers, we need to somehow get pressure on the quarterback, and they only want to rush 4 people. So this is where you're gonna need a Shaq Lawson and Greg Rousseau to step up, especially without Von Miller. You're gonna need Ed Oliver and Tim Settle and DeQuan Jones and Jordan Phillips to step up and go ahead and get some pressure on these quarterbacks with just 4. It's been the game plan for a little while now, and we got to see them to make some turnovers, because
that's key.
Yeah. When you think about the way our team operates, it's almost wild to think that we're 13-3. We beat all but one other team in the playoffs, which are in the AFC playoffs, which is we didn't play Jacksonville, and we didn't finish the game with the Bengals. But looking at the way our team operates, it's almost crazy, because the offense seems to be just drop back and pass for Josh. Occasionally run the football. It's like, Josh, go out there or win the ball with your right arm and your legs. And then the defense is like, yeah, just stop him from scoring. Whatever you do, I don't care how many yards you give up in between the 20s, just don't let him score a touchdown.
That's a good way. You know, our old guys, Ted Cottrell, and Wade Phillips, they kind of had that same type of philosophy. I think that's what Leslie Frazier comes from, that same type of mold, if I'm not mistaken. You know, they like the guys up front to help be the big part of winning the game. And then, you know, the rest of the skill guys do skill stuff. You know what I mean? Get up there and snatch the ball out of the air when it's hanging. You know, go up and separate the guys from the ball, and, you know, don't just lay them out. You know, get the ball. You know, get a possession back to us. You know, take points off and give us the ball back is really, I would think, they need to up or speak about more because of the playoffs. And what they've done up to now in the regular season has been good enough for 13-3, but, you know, it's playoff time now. And like I said earlier, you know, when it's late in the game, regular season, you know, there might be a little let up, you know, that you can capitalize on and mash the gas. But not in the playoffs. Nobody's letting up until that fat lady is sweating singing. You know what I mean? That's when the guys are concede. They be like, that lady over there is about half dead, and she done sang. You know, so okay, but in the regular season, she could just tune a couple of notes, and guys, all right, I get you next week. Week. No, next week. So they're going for the gusto. And focusing on securing the ball offensively. Whatever you do, how you carry it, how you run with it, how you throw it, you know, the play calling, you know, the risk taking, all of that. And then on defense, how to get the ball away from them and go at it and attack it when it's out there. Don't just make the tackle. It's a playoffs. You know, don't just make the tackle, secure the tackle, but let's look for an extra way, an extra oomph to knock the ball free. You know what I mean? And get the ball, scoop and score, and take it to the house.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to get into halftime. Halftime, of course, is where we talk about some of our favorite products and things that we look forward to sharing with you guys. And, of course, you know, Ruben is known for showing his brothers out there, rug burners, some love.
Yeah.
We gave away the 2 beautiful rugs at the event that we had in the previous Miami game. But before we get into our shout outs and sponsors, of course, we got legend number 2 in the building. He's with us.
What's up, my guys?
Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
I had a quick emergency coaches meeting we had to discuss. We had to iron out some things. We did our season workouts.
We hold it down for you here.
So we had to hash out some things, you know what I mean, you know, in reference to that, you know, moving forward. So, you know, I'm sorry that I'm a little late, but, you know, better late than never.
For sure.
Speaking of our bills, boy, I'm telling you, I don't know what I'm gonna ask these coaches at 4:00. I'm telling you that right now, because I did not like what I saw out there at all yesterday. We could have been eating.
I'll give you a suggestion on what you should bring up to them, because this is crucial in the playoffs more than any time. And Justus and I were just talking about it. Is I guess it was like ball security for offense and defensively, that looking for those opportunities to take the ball away, or should be more emphasized. Or I'm wondering, how much are they emphasized? And the reason why that comes up, one, ball security on offense, because, you know, the recent turnovers. In scouting wise, if I'm watching Josh Allen and how he handles the ball, he has a tendency to had it floating around in the air, giving an opportunity for a defender to possibly get it knocked out. Like, fortunately, he got it knocked out and it went out of bounds. But you worry that any of those things crop up again. Are they talking about this? They making an emphasis on it. And then vice versa over on defense. Are they making an emphasis like, hey, this is time to not only make the tackle, but let's separate them from the ball and get the ball, scoop and score type thing. I know you do that as a coach.
Man, this scheme frightens me. It frightens me on both sides of the ball. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, it's the playoffs. We about to come with something new, innovative, whatever. Just we've been waiting all season for this.
Yeah.
And it was the same shit. Like, first of all, again, Rube, here we are. Up 17 zip.
Word.
We get the ball.
Word.
James Cook pops it, 2 good runs.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden we go play action. Josh throws an interception.
Preach.
Why are we throwing the ball up 17 zip? Let your
Preach.
game get established. Establish your run game, especially if you got time early in the game to establish the run game. See what your run game going to do. You know what I mean? For us to be passing is like, this is why, again, this is why we don't have the number 1 seed right now, because Ken Dorsey is in his own way, and at times Coach McDermott's in his own way too. I'm gonna get into that in just a minute, but to start off with this offense, Miami was very disrespectful playing zero coverage, by the way. Like, he wasn't going to find, our guy. Here it is. Stephon Diggs has 6 catches, almost 100 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
So the halftime adjustment was not to getting the ball no more.
Yeah.
Like, why you not getting – you're losing the game. We got Cole Beasley on the outside. On the outside now. We throwing passes to Cole Beasley on the outside when he should be the slot. Ball bounces off his chest. Interception. Like why are we experimenting in the wrong damn times of the game when we're behind or we're struggling to maintain the lead? We are experimenting by running the damn football. See what your run game going to do. Get your run game in a rhythm. Now it forces the teams to come up instead of playing 7 off. It got to bring them up where you can go one-on-one with Steph Diggs. You go to one-on-one with Gabe Davis if need be. But, I mean, we still have not implemented a screen. I don't know what's going on, why we ain't put a screenplay in with the running back. You got James Cook, who's ultra explosive with the ball in his hands. He's going to break it if he catches it in open space. It is no screens designed. Teams are playing 7 off. Their 4-man is getting pressure against our 5. And we're not throwing the screens just to, to keep it. I don't know what we're doing on offense again. We're doing plays now, and I get it. We want to put Naeem Hines involved, but certain times it's not the time to do that. Like, how we are losing the game and then Stephon Diggs isn't touching the ball. He touched the ball 1 time in the second half. 1 time in the second half. You fail to go back to what was working in the first half. But you start experimenting and you go, and you start losing ball games. You turning the ball over, like we turned the ball over. When you look at the stats, the Bills obviously blew Miami out, but the stats don't indicate that because we turned the ball over 3 times, at the wrong time in the game, and 4 times if you want to count where the Bills stalled out on their first drive, like going for it on 4th down, it didn't convert.
Who won that game for the Bills on Sunday, Mookie?
Huh?
Who won the game for the Bills on Sunday?
The kids did. You know what I mean? Wanting the coaching, it's like, when you coach high school and little league, they be like, oh, man, they ain't the coaches, man.
What happened on the special teams?
Kyer Elam won that game. How about that? Ain't nobody even talking about the way he played.
That's what I'm trying to tell
and
you.
he
What
came
did
off.
he do? Was that historic what he did?
That interception?
What was his return? No. It was the interception. Now, without that, the Bills look like they're gonna lose, right?
Yeah, we was down 3 right there.
Yeah.
He picks the ball off deep in Miami territory, and we get the score to go up 10. So he gave us a 10-point lead with that interception right there.
There you go.
But then again, On the defensive side, again, we keep relying on our 4-man pressure. We refuse to blitz. You got 7-man in coverage, and players are still wide open. If it wasn't for Waddle and players dropping the ball, it'd be a totally different ball game. And we out here not putting the pressure to a third string quarterback, making him look good, converting left and right. I mean, the plays was dialed up pretty good from a Miami standpoint. Miami was just dropping the ball. And again,
you know he ain't gonna change from that 4-man rush scheme. He ain't gonna change. He gonna ride that. To me and Justice just was talking about that, right, Justice? Like that's his MO. He ain't going.
He got the one blitz that he do with
rarely,
Milano.
Yeah, he'll rarely send a guy. Milano will come here and there, but ain't no whole lot.
But on certain situations like 3rd and 7, we got to play tighter coverage in zone coverage. Like the corners are backing up way too much for them to have help over the top. It'd be like 2 guys behind the sticks, and it's a receiver at the sticks getting the first down when he should know that, okay, I got help over the top. I'm going to play a little bit tighter coverage underneath. You know, and that's how Kyer was able to pick off the ball that he did. You know what I mean? Because he was under, and then he was able to drop back in the coverage and pick the ball off. You know what I mean? Being 6'2", you figure you want a guy out there like that. And then what in the hell, Coach McDermott, is going on with these timeouts? You got to let your nuts hang sometime, you know what I mean, on 4th down. When your defense is balling, leave them alone. You know what I mean? Just leave them alone. Let them go out there and make plays. It was twice.
He was about to call a timeout when they threw the touchdown, didn't he?
Right. When they did the reverse, Tremaine Edmonds make a great play on that on you know, little pistol action they was running. You call timeout. Now that would have forced a 3rd down situation to the point where they had to pass. Maybe they get a field goal in that situation. Maybe. Or maybe they go for it on 4th down. Who knows? But at that point in time, you know, play the sticks. You call it timeout. So you mean to tell me at during that timeout, obviously y'all didn't come up with nothing good because they scored on that possession. So you wasted the timeout there. You know,
they also did the timeout on the play where it was 4th down and they stuffed them in the backfield and Buffalo timeout.
And then what they do, punt the ball. So they made you spend your money, waste the timeout, and now they punting the ball instead of you let your nuts hang and let your defense stop them. And now you get the ball on your own on their 36. On their 36. We would have had the ball on their own 36 going into scoring position. But then again, we punt the ball. They punt the ball deep into our territory, reset the field. Then we go 3 and out because, again, we're throwing the ball instead of running. You know, so I got a whole heap of questions. I got to find a way to be creative to reword this stuff because we need answers to this. We can't go into Cincinnati playing the way we playing and Stephon Diggs not being a part of the entire game. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make the man hot and then all of a sudden you make him cold in the second half. Like, he should have had 12, 15 catches. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. I just don't. I don't get it. We making this game harder than what it really should be. And again, we say this all the time. I'm surprised this team won 14 games by some of these play calls that, you know, is out here. So that's just leading me to believe. I mean, it's just the players making plays. You know what I mean? It's the players making plays.
The Bengals coming up, and they look like they got the same situation we got.
Yeah, me and Ruben was just talking about that. We was talking about how it's crazy that the Bills won 13, 14 now games where it just seems so basic. It's like offense go out there and just win on the right arm of Josh Allen, will periodically run the football, but Josh is basically on you. And then the defense is like, let them do whatever they want as long as they don't score a touchdown. And and they continue to win games this way. I don't know, but hey, whatever. But
it's playoffs.
It's kind of jacked up that I'm sitting here complaining, and you know, man, like we know that this team could do way better than what they're doing, and they're 14-3 at this point. Like,
you're a coach, you know how to do that. You know, that's in you.
No, but also as a reporter, I am glad that you at least acknowledge that you need to ask these questions a different way, because there was a question by a reporter that wasn't really a question. It was just an overall statement where he says that the Buffalo Bills offense right now is not good enough to win the Super Bowl. So that brings us to our third quarter, and my question to you guys, we just talked about it. They're 14-3 for the season. It's super vanilla on both sides of the ball. Coach, do the Bills have what it takes to actually win a Super Bowl?
The Bills have the players to win the Super Bowl, but are the coaches going to play the players to the best of their ability to get to the Super Bowl? That's what it is. I mean, hey, if they, I was out with them. I was with them last night. You know what I mean? I was with the crew last night. Josh, had a little function, and we was chilling watching the game. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn. And we are watching the game and seeing how the Ravens was running the football all over the Bengals. Can we do the same? Like, we have the pieces to do the exact same thing that the Baltimore Ravens was doing. You know what I mean? It's a copycat league, but, I feel that, our coaching staff don't be copying anything. They just stuck on what they stuck on, and teams know that, and they use it against them. And, instead of blowing teams out, we be in dogfights with teams, because they're in their own way at times, and it works against them. And I'd say this: we don't make it to the Super Bowl, it won't be because of the players. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We don't make it to the Super Bowl, it won't be because of the players. I'm gonna tell you that. You call whoever you want to blame. You want to blame the head coach, the OC, the DC, whoever you want to blame, you blame. But it won't be because of the players. We have enough talent to win Super Bowl 2-3 years ago. You know what I mean? And definitely now. So I don't, with no Micah Hyde, with no Von Miller, with a banged up Poyer. So it won't be because of the players if they don't get to the Super Bowl. But we definitely have the players to win the Super Bowl.
Ruben, what you thinking? What do you think? The Bills good enough to win the Super Bowl as currently constructed?
I agree with everything Mook said. Needs 100%. This team has everything it needs to win a Super Bowl. But will the coaching staff coach it to a Super Bowl? That is the question coming up this week and the coming weeks. Can they coach this team into a Super Bowl? What we've seen offensively the last couple of weeks, defensively, we couldn't expect some ups and downs and, give up some run games and we, do well in another area and they find a way to win. And we're like, hey, we got to shore that up. We understand what we're getting with on defense. But over on offense, it's a little bit more complex. How are they asserting an actual offense that can win opposed to just Josh winning? I mean, we want to ride the arm of the quarterback, but the quarterback needs some help. And I don't think the offensive coordinator or the offensive minds are running that offense that way. It's just like you say, you watch other teams go out there and they run an offense where, hey, there's some run plays, there's some play action, there's some screens, there's some this. Oh, and by the way, we'll throw in a run by our quarterback where it's, Josh, get back in the back. You see something, throw it. You don't see it, run it. I mean, I know it's not that simple, but it's the way they've been calling it, because they definitely ain't calling line up our formation, use Gilliam as a fullback. We're going to run some traps, some counters, come down the hill.
Nothing like that.
Game. None of that. It's let's line up, find Diggs and Josh, you improvise all day. They not calling it to win the Super Bowl, but they got the players too. They got the play. They damn sure got the players. Like Mookie said, they got the players. They can do it for a couple of years if they get their act together.
Certainly at the players last year, and that was before Von Miller stepped onto the field. So absolutely. All right. Last quarter, we got unfinished business. I want to talk about how weak the Bengals looked, but it's kind of tough because we also didn't look great versus the 7th seed either. They almost lost to a Lamar Jackson-less Ravens team, and I want to make fun of them, but we almost lost to a less the Dolphins team. So I can't really crap on them too much because it's the pot calling the kettle. But unfinished business. Cincinnati will be coming to Buffalo this time as we are the number 2 seed. But looking at the Bengals, just in that first 1.5 quarters they played out there in Cincinnati, they looked like they was moving the ball very, very well on us. Looked like it was gonna not look like a great game, at least up to that point. Ruben, what do you think the Bills' chances are versus the Cincinnati Bengals here at Orchard Park Sunday at 3 p.m.?
They actually, after watching the Bengals and thinking, hey, if that Bengals team that played the other day, yesterday, right? If that team shows up in Orchard Park, the Bills will beat the hell out of them. I mean, and beat them worse than they beat the Dolphins. If that Bengals team shows up. But the Bengals do have a propensity to kind of raise their level and show up with some explosion. They can be explosive. So I would be worried about them on that end. They have a very confident quarterback. Like I said earlier, it's the playoffs and guys aren't going to give up and they're not going to be intimidated because they come into Buffalo. They coming to get a part of this. They want to win. So the Bills got this. If the Bengals are still reeling or still not getting together, but if the Bills come out and play like they played this week, the Bengals could beat them. They can't play like they played this week, whether the Bengals show up and play like they did their last game or they improve. The Bills have no choice but to improve their next game on what they did this week, because what they did this week offensively, nah, them turnovers. You ain't going to win. You ain't going to beat the Bengals. You're not going to beat the Bengals. You turn the ball over to Joe Burrow them like we did to this kid in Miami, they going back down the road laughing. You know what I mean? They'll be back in Cincinnati celebrating if our offense don't get their act together.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I was going to say as I posed the same question to Muki. I was going to say, if you take away turnovers in this Dolphins game, it's more than likely a blowout. We've had stats from some of the amazing people in our comment section today talking about the Dolphins didn't have a drive that was over 40 yards, or they only had 10 points on drives that started outside of field goal range, and things like this. And they ended up scoring 31 points. So those turnovers clearly had a ton to do with the result of the game. So Mookie, if the Bills can somehow, because they haven't done it damn near all season, if they can somehow play a clean game, you think they could beat this Bengals team?
Oh, without a doubt, they could beat the Bengals if they play a clean game. When you look at yesterday's game, the Bills had 423 total yards to Miami's 231 total yards. When you look at first downs, Bills had 25 first downs. Miami had 16. When you look at third down, the Bills were over a 50% conversion rate on third down, and Miami was about 25% on third down. But when you look at the flip side of that, how many times Josh Allen got sacked? 7 times. He got sacked 7 times. The 3 turnovers at the wrong time of the game. You cannot turn the ball over. I don't care who you're playing. You could be playing the little Giants. You know what I mean? I don't care who you are.
Let me slow you up just for a second, Mook, so we can emphasize your point right here. It's the playoffs. You know what I mean? They lucky they got out of there with 3 turnovers and won the game. A team that Dolphins couldn't score 30 points if you gave them 30 points most of the time. And they had 30 points in this game and almost pushed it. It's 100% the turnovers. You right on this. They don't shore that up.
You know, and you give a team like that confidence that say, hey, these boys ain't trying to win the game. They're trying to give us a game. So let's go out here and take it. Now, since they don't want to win it, they put us back in this ball game. And Miami's confidence got sky high. And guess what? It was a dog fight because we're experimenting at the wrong time with certain play calls. You know what I'm saying? Now, not to say that Josh's first interception wasn't a bad play call, just the ball wasn't thrown far enough. So again, why are we doing that when we're up 17? We had midfield, and the run game on that possession seemed like it was clicking. So why not continue on with the run game? See how far the run game gets you. Even if it is to kick a field goal, guess what? It's 20 to zip rather than 17 to zip, and the interception that changes the morale of the team. And now the defense got to go back out there. They go kick a field goal, and then now guess what? Why are we still passing? We still should be establishing a run. Oh, ball bounces off of Cole Beasley's chest in the hands to a Miami defender. And I don't give Josh Allen that interception, but he gets credit for the interception. You know what I mean? So it's still a bad look on Josh Allen part, even though it hit Cole Beasley right in his chest. You know what I mean? So again, why are we throwing
defender got there
in that
early.
situation? Why are we not going to our go-to guy in that situation, like Stephon Diggs in that situation? Go to your money guy in the money games, man.
This is my opportunity to tease the receivers, and the ball hit Beasley in the chest. That's why the great ones catch it with their hands. They get on the jugs machine and catch that joker, and that's what make you really separate from other receivers. You know what I mean? And that's my dig at Cole Beasley.
I don't know if the guy got his hand and deflected it, but it looked like it hit him in the chest.
That's what I was going to say.
I know he got there.
I'm gonna give Beasley a little bit of bail. He hit him a little early. I do, however, agree with Coach when I say why not go to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, it makes no sense to even go to Beasley there in the first place. I just say all around, this offense don't have no real identity. I mean, other than leaning on Josh for all the success, they don't have an identity, and that's going to hurt them down the road. I really think so. Because, listen, Josh needs help. He just needs some help. He can't. He out there playing by himself. Come on.
They refuse to let Stephon Diggs help him.
Yeah, or the running backs.
Right, the running backs is your help. Running backs.
We're saying screens, run plays, just simple draws with the running back.
Yesterday should have been screen central the way Miami was.
Easy. Especially against the pass rush, because so many times I think sometimes they'll put the tight ends in an awkward position when it comes to blocking and expect some type of success. I'm gonna tell you, it's rare. You gotta be Ben Coates or Pete. What's that? They got Pete Messalars we had. You gotta be those type of guys to be good blockers. And other than that, you just out there for space and help the tackle get set on a good pass rusher or by the quarterback just a second or two. You ain't gonna be no lockdown block against no premier pass rushing DN. And I see them try to throw that wrinkle in there from time to time. No, get that kid out there and let him catch the ball. Get the ball out of Josh's hands, instead of him trying to have extra blockers so he can stand back there and look at downfield all day. He already going to run if it's not open anyway. So send the damn tight end out there. Give him more options. If he can't hit the tight end, he going to pull it down and run it. Stop being silly in how you set it up. You end up, a lot of times when you use that tight end as a blocker to help the tackle and stuff, they end up tripping over each other and the DN comes free. And you saw that happen in the game about 3-4 times. DNs for Miami ain't no joke. What you think gonna happen come we play Cincinnati? Cincinnati's rush is better, right? Their offense has no damn identity. And the guy is gonna cost them if they don't get into some type of buy time, run the clock, help Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Would you say 5?
7 sacks. And Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson is no joke.
No
Boys
joke.
get after it. BJ Reader too. He get after it too.
But
So
why
they,
are we
they,
not
they
having? Why is there no design rollouts? If my quarterback is getting sacked 7 times in the pocket, why are we not moving the pocket?
and he's
Why are
better
we
on the
just a
run
lame
anyway.
duck sitting in the
Yeah,
pocket?
yes.
You know
And he's
what I mean?
better on
Like,
the run.
move the pocket, bro. Like, what are we doing?
We're going to keep the tight end in who can't block to help a tackle. And then when they try to help each other, they end up falling over top of each other. Then get the hell out of here, man. Clear the dude out. Roll the damn quarterback around a little bit. Play action and shit. Stop being stupid and making it harder, like Mookie said, than it really is.
7 times. No screenplays, no design rollouts. And we all know Josh is super mobile and he's fairly accurate again when rolling out. And the scouting report on Josh is when he runs to the left, he's keeping it. When he rolls out to the right, obviously he's trying to throw it. You know what I mean? So that's the scouting report. And that was confirmed from a source within. You know what I mean? So that's getting tossed around the league. You know what I mean? So that's what they know about Josh. If he's rolling to his left, he's running, he's going to keep it. If he's roll out to his right, it's a possibility he did what he might do against, last week with John Brown. He's looking to throw it, you know what I mean, rather than to run. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, right now, Dorsey is still not impressing me. You know what? Let me say this. The defense balled out. I mean, the defense balled out. I gotta give them that. Within the scheme of things, they balled out. They got the sacks. They got 4 sacks. They got turnovers. They got Miami off the field on 3rd down. You know what I mean? So, I can't really say too much about the defense other than in certain situations. Coach, y'all calling timeout. Y'all need to be calling the timeout.
But Coach, I'd say this about the defense. I think they consistently have been who they are all year long. You know what I mean? I don't even think the defense has let me down in my expectations this season. I maybe with Vaughn, we was expecting more, but when losing Vaughn, I'm looking at the defense like, all right, okay, we don't turn the ball over. We got something here.
That's a pretty good point, Rube. That's actually a really good point. There hasn't really been a game this year where it's like, oh my God, the defenses the Vikings game in like the second half. Yeah. But the offense also had some fault in that. But I do have one more. This wasn't on the docket or anything, so this is kind of just me freestyling. Got one more question for you guys. I was told that there has been a team that has requested the services of Ken Dorsey for a potential head coaching position, right? Also, Spin, again, in the comment section, asks, do you think that Bills fired Dorsey this offseason? So I'm going to just put this together into one big question. I'm going to start with Ruben. Do you think it's better for the Bills or worse off for the Bills if Ken Dorsey is not in any capacity, whether he gets fired or, which I don't think he's get fired, but whether he gets fired or becomes a head coach or whatever reason, do you think it's better or worse? The Bills offense are better or worse off without Ken Dorsey if he should leave this offseason?
I think he's better. The Bills couldn't be better without him. I think if he gets a job, I think he should take it. And I think the Bills have enough over there offensive wise. They're good to go. They can do it without the coordinator. They definitely can do it without him.
Mookie, what you thinking?
Me?
Yeah.
Damn, I said I wish Dable was around right now.
I know.
I wish
Dable so much trash about
him. At least he mixed it up. At least he hit us with some element of surprises, a few trick plays here and there, a little razzle dazzle.
Yeah, you see how he came with the run game late in the season when you thought he won't.
Right, you know what I mean? Like Dorsey's just stuck in his ways, man. To me, he's thinking like a quarterback because he's a former quarterback, and like Ruben said, he's relying on the arm of Josh Allen. And, everybody knows that. But, again, Josh Allen needs help, too. He's human, too. You know what I mean? So why put him in that situation? You got when your running backs is averaging over 5 yards a carry,
Mook, can I interrupt real quick and
Sure.
say this is a team game?
It's a team
As
game.
good as Josh is this still a team game?
I mean, Josh is just going out there doing what the play
Please.
callers call. I'm quite sure if Josh was calling the plays, it'd be a little different too. You know what I mean? But
Get the runners in the active, because them guys want to touch the ball too. And I've been in huddles and locker rooms and stuff. All the guys that play the skill position, they want that rock. I remember playing with Larry Sanders. I'd be like, "Hey man, get that ball down there to E. Mose." He's like, "I'm here too." I said, "All right, Larry. Hey, get Larry some rock too. I don't care who you get it to all of them. You know what I mean? Because they all deserve it. They got the ability to do what they do from their position. Get a rock to the running backs, man. Let them get some run."
yeah, it's time just to, turn those dudes loose, man. Like they ready to play. I mean, why you okay? So this is what I'm talking about. To close the game out, right? They so basic on just hand the ball off. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe Josh about to bootleg it here on 3rd and 7. They did the same play 3 times in a row. Okay, now we can run the ball here, run. And if it went for, Singletary, you know what I mean? Yeah. He got you 7 right there. So if he gets you 7, why he couldn't?
When everybody knows it's a run.
When everybody knows you're running the ball.
Everybody knows. That's
why
when
not,
like, all right,
do it in the course of the game when you're up, and the run game is going to eat the clock. The clock is your friend. Your run game and excelling, and then guess what that run game going to do? It's going to help your pass game. It's going to help your play action, and then it's easy for Josh to find the target because they got to respect your run. Mm-hmm. But if you want to be one-dimensional all the damn time, then teams are not going to respect your run. They're going to continue to have 7 out there, and their 4-man pressure is going to win at some point. And, either Josh is going to get sacked, and God forbid he doesn't force himself to throw a pick, you know what I mean? And in playoff football situations, it's win or go home. And you ain't got time to, go back to the drawing board. So they got to get this right. The good thing about the Cincinnati thing is that they played Cincinnati for 10 minutes, so they kind of have to have a feel for that team, at this point, and make adjustments. Now, you got a chance to make adjustments before it's time to really actually make the in-game adjustments. Bills need to make that adjustment because what they were coming up with, Cincinnati was winning in those regards. And during that 10 minutes, Cincinnati did look like the more aggressive team. You know what I mean? I ain't going to front. I ain't going to sugarcoat it or nothing like that. As saying that Cincinnati is better, no. But they look like the more aggressive team in that first 10 minutes of that ball game. You know what I mean? Maybe we need to get my boy Pac-Man Jones and Solomon Wilcox online, and we can talk about that with BLEAV in Bengals podcast, because I don't know what's going on, why they, it's time to talk, gentlemen. Let's talk about it. We got 6 days to do it. You know what I mean? I would love to talk to Pac-Man about a few things.
Yes, sir. That's in the works. Don't you worry. Already got a little DM thread going on. So
we gotta get some chicken wings for some chili or something. That's what we gotta do. We gotta make the BLEAV in network friendly wager or something, like, bring them out.
I mean, y'all the ones with the money. I'm gonna stay out of that one. But I didn't play. But yeah, man.
We'll get something.
With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into our final segment of the night. Of course, as we always do, we like to give the guys opportunity to talk about what's on their minds. So we're gonna start with the Hall of Famer himself, the legend, Ruben Brown, with Ruben's rundown. What's on your mind today, Ruben?
I'm going to make it short and sweet, guys. It's all about turnovers. You secure the ball on offense and take it away on defense. I started talking about it on the show when we kicked off. It's key and crucial when it comes to the playoffs. Any mistakes could lead you being sitting at home. So you have to be aggressive in everything you do. Aggressively maintain control of the ball on offense at all times. And on defense, aggressively attack the ball and take it away every chance you possibly get. You see that ball dangling out there for a minute, go for the ball. And I mean, the turnovers 9 times out of 10 are a huge determining factor in these games, especially when teams have familiar, or even though we only played 10 minutes of a game, there's stuff there that they can build on and use to help them, whether we're going to win the game or not. But at the end of the day, no matter how many plays you run, you need to be telling the offense to be concerned about securing the ball and staying in possession of the ball all the time until it crosses the goal line or kick through the field, through the uprights. And on defense, that ball is yours. Go get it. Take it from them, and that's the case all day long, all night. And that's the key to victory. That's really what's going to decide your victory come this week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, next up, you got.
Well, I get a little music or something. That's what
I thought I muted that, but I guess I saved the music for it.
You got that's what I get, man. You got to give me something a little bit more different than that. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, that was some generic. That was some generic. I'll get that right. I'll get you right.
I mean, like I was like at a conference or something, at the convention center music. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna get you right, man. Don't worry about it.
Put me in the game, coach.
A moment with Muki. What's on your mind today, Muki?
Put me in the game, coach. James Cook. Put me in the game, coach. Stephon Diggs for a full game. Put me in the game, coach. It's money time. You got to go with your money players. You cannot be experimenting in the playoffs. Go with what got you there and stick with it. If teams adjust to it, guess what? You counter adjust by finding ways to get your money players still involved. You cannot just say, oh, they're on to us, and then we got to go somewhere else with the football. No. Here is part 2 of getting my money guys the ball when they try to take this part away from us. We're going to, move him across the middle. Let's start identifying how they're doubling him. And now that's going to open up for everybody else instead of just taking this, like putting out your own fire. You know what I mean? Stop putting out your own fires. This is the playoffs. You don't have time to be experimenting with things. You know what I mean? Stick to what worked. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, even when Quentin Morris caught that check down for 14, 15 yards, why not check mark that play and say, hey, man, we got 14, 15 yards off this play. Let's try that again and see if they're going to cover him this time. If not, guess what? We're going to steal another first down with Quentin Morris. You know what I'm saying? Like, stick to what works. Like, sometimes in game, you never know that this can turn into a big play for us. So I'm going to highlight that play because that was a big play for us. And if I got to try and go back to see if it's really real, I'm going to do it again. Now, if they onto it, then I'll move on. I'll make adjustments that way. But in-game adjustments must have to get better. I have no problems with the defense, the way they played. I mean, if this game right here against Cincinnati don't get the Bills up, after all that's gone on with what has happened, the DeMar Hamlin situation and all that, if this don't get the Bills to play at a whole nother level to get to, whether it's Atlanta or, if the Colts if the Chiefs slip up and, bump their head against the Jags back here, if this game right here do not get the Bills up to play, then I guess I can say they don't deserve to make it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I can say that. Now, this game right here, their game should be to the roof right here. It's going to be an emotional game. We all know it's going to be an emotional game. And, man, the players are going to be fired up. And maybe a DeMar Hamlin sighting at this game. And the Bills got to be up for the challenge to go out there and make plays and don't turn the ball over. You can't make mistakes against the Cincinnati Bengals team. They're going to make you pay for it. You see how when Huntley stretched over and the dude ran 99 yards and nobody wanted to tackle the guy. You know what I mean? So, like, we can't allow that to happen. You know what I mean? We got to be able to be aggressive on both sides of the ball against a good Cincinnati Bengal team. If we don't, we play ultra passive aggressive, then this Super Bowl team would not make it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And let me get a special shout out though to my boy Nikki Smokes, by the way. You know, you was a trooper out there this week during Bills Mafia. So, you know, Bills Mafia definitely earned a great bit of respect for you for doing what you did all weekend, embracing the Mafia. And now you got to return the favor when Bills Mafia come to Miami. All right. So shout out to my guy Nikki Smokes for that.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. Pretty cool guy. We'll have him on the show at some point. Talk a little Bills Dolphins. But yeah, man, that'll do it for us today. Shout out to Coach Muki as well as Ruben, of course, for coming on and sharing their thoughts with us as usual. So Buffalo Bills defeat the Miami Dolphins 34-31. And you guys just heard us talk about it for a little under an hour and a half. And we'll be back to talk about it when the Bills defeat the Bengals. But we'll also give you a pregame, man. We'll talk about that a little bit. Maybe we might have Pac-Man and Solomon Wilcott. We'll see what happens. But until then, I'm just General Radford. That's the legendary Ruben Brown. And, of course, that's the legend in 2 games, Coach Mookie Hawkins. Send us out, Coach.
Bills versus Bengals, Sunday at 3. Do you believe? Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Now, find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all sports information, from live in-game betting props and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Now, use our promo code BLEAV50 to receive your 50%. Welcome your bonus on your first deposit. Now, Bet Online is where the game starts.